In a loud world, power often grows in silence. Stoicism teaches that real strength is built privately, away from noise, ego, and constant explanation. When you focus on yourself and stop announcing your plans, your energy stops leaking. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all warned against speaking too much and striving for attention. They taught that discipline grows in quiet effort and victory speaks for itself. This story follows that timeless path. 6 chapters, 1 journey. A calm transformation. Each chapter builds inner power through focus, restraint, and silence. Listen slowly. Let the ideas settle. What grows in silence lasts longer. Chapter 1. The power of turning inward. The moment you decide to focus on yourself, life becomes quieter. Not because the world changes, but because your attention does. Marcus Aurelius wrote that most of our trouble comes from thoughts that wander outside our control. When attention turns inward, strength begins to grow. You stop watching others. You stop comparing paths. You begin the work that matters. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is disciplined awareness. You realize how much energy you once spent explaining, defending, and proving. Seneca warned that people who talk too much scatter their strength. Silence gathers it. When you stop announcing your plans, your mind becomes sharper and your purpose clearer. At first, this silence feels uncomfortable. The ego wants recognition. It wants approval. It wants noise. Epictetus taught that discomfort is the price of growth. When you resist the urge to speak, you train mastery over impulse. This mastery is the foundation of Stoic power. As you turn inward, you begin to notice patterns. You see how often emotions guide actions without permission. Anger rushes, pride reacts, fear interrupts progress. Observing these movements without judgment is the beginning of wisdom. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily through reflection. He watched his thoughts as a general watches soldiers. Focusing on yourself also reveals wasted effort. You notice goals chosen to impress others. You see habits formed out of imitation, not conviction. Seneca believed that clarity comes when we ask one honest question: is this truly mine? When the answer is no, release follows naturally. Silence becomes your ally. In silence, plans grow stronger. Words invite interruption. Silence allows patience. Epictetus said that a sheep does not show how much it eats by how much it bleats, but by the wool it grows. Progress needs no announcement. The inward path removes distractions slowly. Social noise loses importance. Opinions fade. You begin to trust your own judgment more than applause. This trust is fragile at first, but it strengthens through repetition. Each time you choose discipline over display, confidence deepens. Focusing inward sharpens discipline. You wake earlier. You waste less time. You choose effort when comfort calls. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that he was born for work, not ease. When you accept effort as natural, resistance fades. You also begin to understand control. Stoicism teaches a simple division: what depends on you and what does not. Attention belongs fully to you. When you guard it carefully, peace follows. External chaos no longer dictates your inner state. Silence protects this peace. When you argue less, you preserve clarity. When you explain less, you preserve energy. Seneca warned that many conflicts are born from unnecessary words. Quiet strength avoids needless battles. As days pass, something subtle changes. You feel less urgency to be seen. Progress itself becomes satisfying. Epictetus taught that freedom begins when approval loses its grip. You begin to act from principle, not reaction. This inward focus also deepens patience. You stop rushing results. You understand that real growth is slow and invisible. Roots grow before branches appear. Silence gives growth time to take hold. You may notice others misunderstand your quiet. Let them. Marcus Aurelius advised indifference toward misjudgment. Your task is not to manage opinions, but to live correctly. Focus restores dignity. The inward path also reveals weakness without cruelty. You see flaws clearly, without shame. Seneca believed that self-awareness is the first step toward improvement. Judgment blocks growth. Observation encourages it. Gradually, self-trust replaces doubt. Decisions feel steadier. You stop asking everyone for validation. Your values guide choices. This internal compass grows stronger each day. Focusing on yourself also reduces envy. When your eyes stay on your own path, comparison fades. Epictetus taught that envy arises from measuring lives incorrectly. Every path is shaped by different duties. Silence creates mystery, and mystery creates respect. You do not demand attention. You attract it naturally, but by then, you no longer need it. This is quiet power. The Stoics believe that the strongest walls are internal. When you build discipline, patience, and clarity, nothing external can easily disturb you. This security is priceless. Inward focus also strengthens resilience. When setbacks come, you respond calmly. You have practiced stillness. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that obstacles become the way. Quiet minds adapt faster. You begin to understand that silence is not absence. It is presence without noise. It allows truth to rise. It allows intention to mature. As this chapter closes, remember this. Focusing on yourself is an act of respect toward your own potential. Silence is not weakness, it is preparation. What grows quietly grows strong, and this is only the beginning. Chapter 2: Silence as a Weapon of Growth. Silence is not emptiness, it is direction. When you stop speaking about your goals, your mind begins to protect them. Marcus Aurelius wrote that strength grows when actions replace announcements. Words invite opinion, distraction, and doubt. Silence allows focus to deepen without interference. Most people leak energy through unnecessary speech. They explain plans, justify choices, and argue for validation. Seneca warned that the mind weakens when it is scattered across too many voices. Every word spoken invites response. Every response demands attention. Silence keeps attention where it belongs. Silence trains patience. When you do not react immediately, you gain space between impulse and action. Epictetus taught that freedom begins when we control our responses. Silence is that control in practice. It slows the moment, allowing wisdom to lead instead of emotion. At first, silence feels like loss. You feel unseen, unheard, but this discomfort reveals dependence on approval. When you endure it, independence forms. You learn that value does not come from being noticed, but from being aligned with purpose. Silence also sharpens listening. When you stop talking, you observe more. You notice tone, intention, and pattern. Marcus Aurelius believed observation was a form of strength. Understanding others without reacting gives you advantage without conflict. In silence, you begin to see how often words were used to protect ego. Defensiveness fades when speech fades. You stop proving. You start improving. Seneca believed that the wise person has no need to announce virtue. Virtue reveals itself through behavior. Silence protects momentum. Plans spoken too early lose power. They become fragile under opinion. Epictetus advised keeping intentions private until action gives them weight. Quiet planning creates strong execution. You also conserve emotional energy. Arguments drain focus. Explanations exhaust resolve. Silence avoids unnecessary battles. Not every comment deserves response. Not every challenge requires defense. Choosing silence is choosing peace. As silence becomes habit, discipline strengthens. You resist urges to react, interrupt, or justify. Each restraint builds control. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily, reminding himself that calm is always available. Silence teaches humility. You accept that you do not need the last word. You allow others to think as they wish. Seneca taught that peace follows when pride loosens its grip. Silence loosens it naturally. Growth accelerates quietly. While others talk about change, you practice it. While others argue philosophy, you live it. Epictetus believed that philosophy is shown in conduct, not conversation. Silence also reveals truth. Without constant noise, your inner voice grows clearer. You hear honest feedback from yourself. Weak habits become visible. Strong intentions stand out. This clarity is impossible in constant chatter. You begin to choose words carefully. When you speak with purpose. Fewer words, greater impact. Marcus Aurelius valued concise speech because it reflects disciplined thought. Silence strengthens confidence. You no longer seek reassurance. Progress itself becomes proof. Seneca believed confidence rooted in action cannot be shaken by opinion. As days pass, others may misinterpret your quiet. Let them. Epictetus taught that peace requires letting go of others' judgments. Silence frees you from managing impressions. You also learn timing. Silence teaches when to act and when to wait. Rushed words often cause regret. Patient quiet avoids it. Marcus Aurelius advised waiting until reason is fully present. Silence builds mystery. Mystery invites respect. You do not reveal everything. You allow curiosity to work for you. This is not manipulation. It is restraint. Inner strength grows unnoticed. Habits improve. Focus deepens. Discipline hardens. Silence becomes your training ground. You stop reacting to provocation. Calm replaces anger. Stillness replaces anxiety. Seneca believed that tranquility is the highest reward of discipline. Silence also teaches self-reliance. You stop needing agreement to proceed. You trust your judgment. Epictetus taught that self-trust is freedom. You realize that many words were attempts to control outcomes. Silence accepts uncertainty. Acceptance removes fear. In silence, you reclaim time. Time once spent explaining is now invested in action. Progress accelerates quietly. Silence also reduces regret. Fewer words mean fewer mistakes. Marcus Aurelius warned that careless speech often harms character more than action. As silence settles, focus sharpens. Distractions fade. Purpose becomes steady. You move forward calmly, without announcement. Silence does not isolate you. It strengthens connection by removing noise. When you do speak, you are heard. This chapter teaches one truth. Silence is not weakness. It is a disciplined choice. It protects growth, sharpens focus, and builds power unseen. And in unseen places, the strongest foundations are formed. Chapter 3. Focus on yourself until you become unrecognizable. Focus is the rarest discipline in a noisy world. Everyone is watching everyone else, comparing progress, measuring worth, reacting to opinions. The Stoics warned against this long before social media existed. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to stay within his own mind and his own actions. When you focus on yourself, you reclaim power that was leaking outward. Most suffering begins with comparison. You look sideways instead of forward. You measure your life against someone else's highlight, speed, or approval. Seneca called this a quiet poison. It distracts you from your own path and replaces growth with resentment. True focus begins when comparison ends. Focusing on yourself does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing where your energy goes. Epictetus taught that we are disturbed not by events, but by our judgments about them. When your focus is internal, outside events lose their grip. You respond instead of react. At first, self-focus feels selfish. You may feel guilt for stepping back. But Stoicism teaches responsibility before generosity. You cannot guide others if you are lost yourself. Strength built inward eventually serves outward. Focus requires boundaries. You stop explaining every decision. You stop engaging in useless debates. You stop chasing validation. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person should do what is right and let go of the rest. Focus is choosing what deserves your attention and rejecting what does not. When focus deepens, habits become visible. You see where time is wasted. You notice patterns that weaken you. Seneca believed self-observation was the beginning of wisdom. Without focus, habits run unnoticed. With focus, they can be changed. You also learn restraint. Not every thought needs expression. Not every feeling needs action. Epictetus taught that mastery begins when you pause before obeying impulse. Focus strengthens that pause. As distractions fall away, discipline grows. You wake with intention. You work without constant interruption. You rest without guilt. Focus creates rhythm. Rhythm creates momentum. People may misunderstand your withdrawal. They may call it arrogance or distance. Let them. Marcus Aurelius warned against living for applause. Focus means accepting misunderstanding in exchange for clarity. You stop reacting to noise. Opinions pass without sticking. Praise does not inflate you. Criticism does not define you. Seneca taught that emotional balance is the sign of inner strength. Focus builds that balance. Focusing on yourself also means confronting weakness. Distraction often hides discomfort. When focus remains, excuses disappear. You see where effort is lacking. This honesty is uncomfortable, but necessary. Growth accelerates when attention is consistent. Small improvements compound. Quiet effort outpaces loud intention. Epictetus believed progress is invisible until it is undeniable. You begin to respect time. You protect mornings. You limit unnecessary conversations. You reduce consumption. Focus simplifies life. Simplicity strengthens mind. With focus, goals become clearer. You stop chasing many directions and choose one. Marcus Aurelius believed scattered effort weakens character. Concentrated effort builds it. You also regain emotional control. Focus reduces anxiety by narrowing concern. You stop worrying about outcomes you cannot control. Seneca taught that peace comes from accepting limits. As days pass, confidence grows quietly. You trust your process. You do not rush results. Focus teaches patience. Patience protects progress. Focusing on yourself reveals purpose. Without constant input, your values speak louder. You learn what matters and what does not. Epictetus taught that clarity of values leads to freedom. You also stop seeking permission. Approval becomes irrelevant. Action becomes priority. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person should act according to nature, not opinion. Focus is not isolation, it is preparation. You are sharpening yourself for meaningful engagement later. Strength built alone supports others better. The mind becomes calmer. Thoughts slow. Decisions improve. Focus reduces mental clutter. Seneca believed tranquility was proof of wisdom. You learn to say no without guilt. Every no protects a yes. Focus demands sacrifice. Sacrifice produces growth. Eventually, progress becomes visible. Not through words, but through results. Discipline shows in posture, speech, and calm presence. Epictetus believed character is revealed in behavior, not explanation. At this stage, silence becomes natural. You no longer feel the need to announce effort. Focus is satisfying enough. Marcus Aurelius practiced virtue without witness. You realize that focus is power. It directs energy, shapes identity, and builds resilience. Without focus, strength scatters. With focus, strength concentrates. This chapter teaches a simple truth. If you focus on yourself long enough, quietly and consistently, you will change beyond recognition. And when others finally notice, you will already be somewhere else, stronger, calmer, and unshaken. Chapter 4. Emotional control is the real power. Emotional control is not the absence of feeling. It is mastery over response. The Stoics never taught suppression. They taught command. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. This truth separates the strong from the reactive. Most people are ruled by emotion without realizing it. Anger decides their words. Fear shapes their choices. Desire pulls their focus. Seneca warned that a person enslaved by emotion is never free, even in comfort. Control begins with awareness. When emotion rises, most react instantly. They speak, argue, explain, or withdraw. Epictetus taught that the moment between stimulus and response is where freedom lives. Emotional control stretches that moment. It creates space for reason. At first, control feels unnatural. You feel pressure to react. Silence feels heavy, but this discomfort is training. Marcus Aurelius practiced reminding himself that feelings are temporary impressions, not commands. The mind learns through repetition. Emotional control begins with naming. You observe anger without obeying it. You recognize fear without surrendering to it. Seneca believed that emotion loses strength when clearly seen. Observation weakens impulse. Control also requires detachment. You stop personalizing events. Not everything is about you. Not every action is an attack. Epictetus taught that we suffer more from interpretation than from reality. Detachment corrects interpretation. As control strengthens, arguments lose appeal. You no longer need to win conversations. Winning peace becomes more valuable. Marcus Aurelius warned that proving others wrong often costs inner calm. Emotional control protects dignity. You do not embarrass yourself with impulsive words. You do not regret reactions. Seneca believed dignity was preserved through restraint, not dominance. You also gain strategic advantage. Calm people see clearly. While others react, you assess. While others escalate, you de-escalate. Control gives leverage without force. Fear shrinks under control. When fear arises and nothing happens, the mind learns courage. Epictetus taught that fear fades when tested by restraint. Control does not mean weakness. It means choosing the right moment. Anger saved for action is stronger than anger wasted in reaction. Marcus Aurelius believed that strength lies in timing. As days pass, triggers lose power. Insults feel smaller. Delays feel manageable. Emotional resilience grows quietly. Seneca believed resilience was built through repeated calm under stress. Control also improves relationships. You listen instead of interrupting. You respond instead of defending. People feel safer around calm presence. This is influence without effort. You begin to trust yourself more. When emotions no longer control behavior, confidence stabilizes. You know you will not betray your values under pressure. Emotional control sharpens judgment. Decisions improve when emotion is regulated. Epictetus taught that clear judgment requires calm mind. You also gain endurance. Hard days no longer break you. Discomfort becomes tolerable. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that nothing given by nature is unbearable. Control creates consistency. Your character remains stable across situations. Praise does not inflate you. Criticism does not collapse you. Seneca believed consistency was proof of wisdom. As control deepens, regret fades. You stop replaying reactions you wish you could undo. Peace replaces rumination. Control also saves energy. Emotional chaos drains focus. Calm preserves strength. You have more to invest in growth. You learn that not every emotion deserves obedience. Feelings inform, but reason decides. Epictetus taught that reason is the ruling faculty. Eventually, others notice your calm. Some will test it. Let them. Marcus Aurelius warned that challenges reveal character. Control becomes habit. Habit becomes identity. You are no longer easily shaken. Inner storms quiet. This chapter teaches a powerful truth. Emotional control is not coldness. It is clarity. It is the ability to choose your response regardless of circumstance. And the one who controls their response controls their life. Chapter 5. Let go of outcomes and gain inner freedom. Most people live trapped by outcomes. They work, speak, love, and act while secretly begging life for a specific result. When reality does not cooperate, frustration rises. The Stoics saw this clearly. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that peace comes from focusing on effort, not reward. When you release attachment to outcomes, you reclaim control over your inner world. Attachment creates anxiety. You worry about what might happen instead of what you can do now. Seneca warned that a mind fixed on the future is never at rest. Letting go does not mean becoming careless. It means separating action from expectation. Epictetus taught that some things are within our control and others are not. Your effort, values, and choices belong to you. Outcomes do not. When you confuse the two, suffering follows. Freedom begins when you draw this line clearly. At first, letting go feels dangerous. You fear losing motivation. You fear becoming passive. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. When you stop chasing results, effort becomes cleaner. You work because it is right, not because you are desperate. Outcome attachment weakens resilience. One failure feels like collapse. One delay feels unbearable. Marcus Aurelius wrote that obstacles are part of the path, not interruptions. Detachment allows you to move through obstacles calmly. When you let go of outcomes, you stop bargaining with life. You no longer think, if I do this, I must get that. Seneca believed this transactional mindset creates disappointment. Life owes nothing beyond the chance to act with virtue. Detachment sharpens focus. You concentrate on the present task instead of imagined futures. Epictetus taught that attention belongs only to the moment you are in. This presence improves quality of effort. Letting go also protects dignity. You do not beg, chase, or force results. You act with self-respect. Marcus Aurelius believed dignity comes from accepting what unfolds without complaint. As attachment fades, fear loses strength. Fear depends on imagined loss. When outcomes no longer define you, fear has less to threaten. Calm replaces tension. You begin to measure success differently. Effort becomes the metric. Integrity becomes the reward. Seneca taught that a good conscience is the highest achievement. Letting go also improves patience. You stop rushing timelines. Growth unfolds naturally. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that nature moves at its own pace. You become harder to manipulate. Others cannot control you with promises or threats. Epictetus taught that freedom belongs to the person who wants nothing from others. Detachment also deepens gratitude. When you expect nothing, everything feels like gain. Small progress becomes satisfying. Peace grows quietly. You stop rehearsing disappointment. Instead of imagining failure, you prepare for effort. This mental shift conserves energy and sharpens resolve. Letting go does not remove ambition. It purifies it. You still aim high, but without desperation. Seneca believed ambition guided by reason is strength, not greed. As days pass, emotional balance stabilizes. Wins do not inflate you. Losses do not destroy you. Marcus Aurelius valued this steady state above all. You also improve decision-making. Without emotional attachment, choices become clearer. Fear no longer clouds judgment. Epictetus taught that clarity comes from inner distance. Detachment strengthens endurance. You persist without constant reward. Discipline becomes self-sustaining. This quiet endurance outlasts motivation. You learn that peace is not found at the finish line. It is practiced along the way. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the present moment is all we ever possess. Letting go also heals disappointment from the past. You stop replaying what should have happened. Acceptance replaces regret. Seneca warned that regret chains the mind to what cannot change. You begin to trust the process of effort itself. Each day becomes complete when you act well, regardless of outcome. Others may not understand this mindset. They may call it indifference. Let them. Epictetus taught that misunderstanding is the price of freedom. Detachment also reduces envy. You no longer measure yourself by others' results. Comparison fades. Focus returns inward. Over time, calm confidence grows. You know that no matter what happens, you will respond with discipline. This knowledge is power. This chapter teaches a liberating truth. When you release outcomes, you gain something greater. You gain peace, resilience, and control over your inner state. And the person who controls their inner state cannot be defeated by external results. Chapter 6. Become unbreakable by mastering your inner world. The final stage of Stoic strength is not domination over others. It is unbreakability within yourself. This is where all previous lessons come together. Silence, focus, emotional control, and detachment from outcomes unite into one way of being. Marcus Aurelius lived this truth while ruling an empire under constant pressure. His power did not come from the throne. It came from mastery of his inner world. Most people believe strength is shown when life is easy. The Stoics believe the opposite. True strength appears under pressure. Seneca wrote that fire tests gold and adversity tests character. If your peace depends on comfort, it will collapse when comfort disappears. Inner mastery creates peace that survives chaos. To become unbreakable, you must stop outsourcing your stability. Many people depend on praise, routine, certainty, or control of others to feel calm. Epictetus taught that anything you depend on that is not fully yours can be taken away. Inner strength begins when you remove these dependencies. This does not mean you reject relationships or ambition. It means you stop tying your identity to them. You care deeply, but you do not collapse when things change. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that everything external is temporary, including reputation, health, and status. Remembering this builds resilience, not despair. An unbreakable person accepts reality quickly. They do not waste energy wishing things were different. Acceptance is not approval, it is clarity. Seneca warned that resisting reality doubles suffering. When you accept what is, you free energy to respond wisely. Inner mastery also requires daily discipline. Not dramatic acts, but consistent ones. You train your mind like a muscle. You practice restraint in speech. You practice patience in delay. You practice courage in discomfort. Epictetus taught that philosophy is lived training, not theory. The unbreakable mind does not avoid hardship. It uses it. Every challenge becomes material for growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote that obstacles become the way forward when met correctly. Pain is not wasted when it sharpens character. You also learn to regulate desire. Wanting too much creates fragility. When expectations are high and reality disagrees, disappointment follows. Seneca advised reducing desires rather than increasing possessions. Less desire means fewer ways to be disturbed. Inner mastery creates emotional steadiness. You still feel anger, fear, and sadness, but they no longer dictate action. You experience emotion without becoming it. This distance is power. Epictetus taught that emotions are impressions, not orders. An unbreakable person speaks less and observes more. They understand that silence protects energy. They choose words carefully. Marcus Aurelius believed careless speech reveals careless thought. Precision builds respect. You also stop seeking revenge. You realize that reacting to insults ties your peace to others' behavior. Seneca believed forgiveness was a form of strength because it frees the mind from bitterness. Calm becomes your response. Inner mastery improves decision-making. You no longer rush choices out of fear. You wait until reason is clear. Patience replaces impulse. This clarity compounds over time. The unbreakable mind also accepts solitude. It does not fear being alone with itself. In solitude, values strengthen. Marcus Aurelius often wrote to himself to reinforce discipline. Self-dialogue becomes guidance instead of criticism. You learn to measure success internally. Did you act with integrity? Did you remain calm? Did you do your duty? These questions replace external metrics. Epictetus taught that success is living according to reason. As mastery deepens, anxiety weakens. Anxiety depends on imagined futures. When you anchor yourself in present effort, fear loses ground. Seneca warned that anxiety steals life before it happens. You also develop endurance. You persist without constant reward. You continue even when progress is slow. This endurance separates the disciplined from the distracted. Inner mastery transforms setbacks into lessons. Failure no longer defines you, it instructs you. Marcus Aurelius believed that mistakes are part of human nature and growth requires humility. An unbreakable person does not seek control over others. They control themselves. This makes them difficult to provoke and impossible to manipulate. Epictetus taught that the free person is the one who governs their own will. You also become selective with attention. You do not consume unnecessary noise. You protect mental space. Focus becomes natural, not forced. As this mindset stabilizes, confidence becomes quiet and grounded. You do not announce strength. Others sense it. Calm presence speaks louder than explanation. Inner mastery does not remove pain from life. It removes fear of pain. This is the final freedom. Seneca believed that courage grows when fear loses authority. You understand that nothing external can complete you or destroy you. Loss becomes survivable. Change becomes manageable. This understanding is armor. This chapter completes the journey. Becoming unbreakable is not about hardness. It is about stability. You bend without breaking. You adapt without losing values. The Stoics did not promise happiness. They promised strength. And strength creates peace. When you master your inner world, the outer world loses its power over you. You have reached the final chapter. Carry these principles quietly. Live them daily. This is the Stoic Tide. If this series strengthened you, like to support timeless wisdom, share with someone who needs inner strength. Subscribe to continue building a calm, disciplined life.